have a social solution and everything. So if you got a problem and no one else can help, maybe you can hire the E.G.
Circle from the trust, uphold the law, and protect the innocent.
In the city of Chicago, on one cold, dark night, a blizzard was setting in, and a little boy was selling papers on the corner. The people were passing him by, trying to get home and out of the cold. And it was so cold, and he wasn't selling any papers, so he went up to a policeman and said, "Sir, you wouldn't happen to know where a poor boy could get a warm place to sleep tonight, would you? You see, I sleep in a box around the corner, just down the alley, and it gets awful cold in there at night. It sure would be nice to have a warm place to stay." The policeman looked down at the little boy and said, "Just go down the street to that big white house and knock on the door. When they come to the door, say John 3:16, and they'll let you in." So he did like he was told and went up and knocked on the door, and a lady answered the door, and he looked up and said, "John 3:16, and she smiled and said, "Come on in, son." And she took him and set him down in an old split-bottom rocker in front of a big old fireplace, and then she went away. As he sat there a while, he wondered to himself, John 3:16, I don't understand it, but it sure does make a cold boy warm. Later she came back and asked him, "Son, are you hungry?" And he said, "Well, just a little. I haven't eaten in a couple of days. I guess I could stand a bite to eat." So she took him into the kitchen, and she set him down at a table full of wonderful food. He ate until he couldn't eat anymore. And he sat there wondering to himself, John 3:16, I still can't understand it, but it sure makes a hungry boy full. Then she took him upstairs to a bathroom with a big old bathtub filled with warm water. As he soaked, he thought to himself, John 3:16, I don't understand it, but it sure makes a dirty boy clean. You know, I never had a bath, not a real one. The only bath I ever had was when I stood in front of an old fire hydrant and they flushed it out. The lady came and got him and took him to a room and tucked him into a big old feather bed. And she pulled the covers up around his neck and kissed him goodnight. And then she turned out the lights. As he laid there in the darkness and looked out the window at the snow coming down on that cold night, he thought to himself, John 3:16, I just can't understand it, but it sure does make a tired boy feel rested. The next morning she came back up and took him down to that same big table full of food. And after he had eaten, she sat down with the family Bible and she said, Son, do you understand John 3:16? And he said, No, ma'am, I don't. The very first time I ever heard it was last night when the policeman told me to use it. So she opened the Bible to John 3:16 and began to tell him about Jesus. And right then and there, next to that big old fireplace, he gave his heart and his life to Jesus. And as he sat there, he thought to himself, my, John 3:16, I don't understand it, but it sure does make a lost boy feel safe. You know, I have to confess, I don't understand it either, how God would be willing to send His Son to die for me, or how Jesus would be willing to do such a thing. I don't understand it either, but it sure does make a life worth living.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
It is nestled among the redwoods, 2,700 acres of pristine land, broken down into dozens of camps. And for 2 weeks every July since the 1880s, they've been filled with some of the most wealthy and powerful men in the world. Many of them arrive on their corporate jets at the nearby Sonoma County Airport. Others arrive in fancy cars, which will fill the on-site parking lot. At its height, there is said to be more than 2,000 men who attend, and as you can imagine, they are well protected by a trove of police.
This is private property.
Yeah, I know. So we're out covering the protest, and we just wanted to see if there was anyone
I would
that
like
could
you
give
guys
us...
to get off the property, please.
There's no way we could just
not
get an
at all.
escort?
Not at all, and I'll have the police come and arrest you if you don't leave, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Access is by invitation only, and most pay more than $15,000 to attend. And for more than 35 years, protesters have stood at the entrance gates.
Our concern is not what's going on inside of the Grove, but what's happening outside of the Grove with the people that are in here.
According to several reports, this is where the idea for the Manhattan Project was conceived back in 1942. It's also where every Republican president since the 60s has spent time before actually becoming the nominee.
We know for sure that Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan sat down and had conversation about who was going to run for president when, and they made a deal.
Peter Phillips wrote his dissertation on the Bohemian Club in 1994 and was invited to attend for 4 days. He witnessed firsthand the opening event, the cremation of care, where the power elite leave their cares behind in a symbolic ceremony beneath Moloch the owl, seen in this photo. Jed Jankel says he was a paid employee of the Grove and drove the horse and buggy that carried the casket in the ceremony.
The casket represented their cares, and they would actually burn it in along the lake with music.
This is a place filled with secrets that only those who go inside and perhaps the trees will ever really know. But I was able to get my hands on some photographs that I want to show you just to give you a sense on what it looks like on the inside. This is a photograph of people who attend. As we mentioned, it is all men, and this is a photograph of some of them. This here was taken back in 1999. Colin Powell, the back of Donald Rumsfeld's head, and this is Thomas Keane. 2 years later, he would become head of the 9/11 Commission. Here's a picture, Newt Gingrich, Henry Kissinger's son, and another shot of Thomas Keane.
Here's a much younger Dick Cheney at the Grove, and Henry Kissinger having a little fun. I was also able to get my hands on several programs from previous years, outlining the schedule of talks and their topics.
Now what we have here on July 22nd, 2008 is the Lakeside Talk given by CFR member and Trilateral Commission member Fred Starr. He gave a talk called Afghanistan, the Unexpected Upside.
There are other connections to be made as well between the Lakeside Talks and public policies that follow.
This was a man that was involved in the oil business, George Linkowitz, the Persian Gulf crisis. This is 1980. Caspar Weinberger, who was the Secretary of Defense in the Reagan administration on rearming America. And that's easily documented. The arms buildup came in around late 81, 82.
There are rumors of extreme drunkenness, of prostitutes, and of homosexual activities by members. But for the most part, It is the secret backroom agreements critics say should be brought to light.
That agreement can be, occupying the Middle East, fighting terrorism, encircling China politically and militarily.
For Mary Moore, who's been researching Bohemian Grove for more than 3 decades, what happens inside is symptomatic of a much larger problem.
We've all grown up taking civics, trying to understand how the world works, and we're all told that we elect representatives, they go to Washington, we have total influence over them, and they make decisions that are in the best interests of us. Then we start growing up, and if we pay any kind of attention, we find out that none of that is true.
In Monterey, California, Christine Frizzau, RT.
Hello, I'm Alex Jones, and I'm a radio and television host based in Austin, Texas. And for many years, I've been exposing the criminal activities of the global elite, also known as the New World Order. In past films, we've documented the centralization of power, the move towards world government, the attack on the nation state, self-defense, the Second Amendment, family values, that is, the family itself, as well as private property rights. But time and time again in my research, I come, well, eye to eye with something that's even hard for me to believe. And that's that the elite, again, the so-called establishment kings, those that know best, the visions of the anointed ones, are obsessed with the occult, from presidents to governors to the heads of industry. We've all seen the stories of presidents and first ladies obsessed with their astrologers making national policy decisions upon their recommendations, spiritual guides, shamans in the White House. My friends, it gets far worse than that. Now, I personally am a Christian, but even an atheist should be concerned about the information we're about to bring forward in this new documentary film, The Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove. You see, for over 120-plus years in Northern California, in Sonoma County, on a 2,700-acre secluded redwood grove, leaders from around the world, prime ministers, chancellors, presidents, governors, again, the heads of industry, banking, academia, the media, Hollywood, only a select few, a little over 2,000 people, travel there to engage in bizarre, ancient Canaanite, Luciferian, Babylon mystery religion ceremonies. At least that was the rumors. And so I went to the library and got on the internet and saw many of the mainstream news articles admitting that world leaders do indeed go there, and they fly into San Francisco and other surrounding cities and drive out into the rural hills and mountains of Northern California, and that these stories have been coming out that they worship some 45-foot stone owl god. And then I began to read some of the documentation on this Moloch character of the Old Testament, mentioned many times in Leviticus. That's in the Bible. Why are world leaders traveling to the middle of nowhere to worship this thing? Well, I had to check it out for myself. And I'm proud of my team. Mike Hansen, Violet Nichols. They traveled with me there. We talked to some of the locals discreetly. We successfully infiltrated with the help of some of the locals and Channel 4, World of Wonder, British television that teamed up with us. And I successfully infiltrated through the Secret Service, through the guards, through the Sonoma County Sheriff's Department. We were inside 4 hours. That's only 1 day out of the 2 weeks that they meet there for the admitted Summer Fire Festival of the Bohemian Club. Well, basically, that's enough for me. It's hard to even describe it with words, and I hope that our hidden cameras can give you at least a small piece of what I witnessed. To have world leaders engaging in this type of sickening behavior, oh yes, there's much more to come. Mock human sacrifices, they claim, just shocks the very foundations of what Americans believe their leaders to be. And then to have it intimately connected with world government. It doesn't make a lot of sense until you research history. All throughout history, spanning back into the mist of the beginnings of civilization, we see world leaders from the empires of old, from the Aztec kings and priests, to Babylonian leaders, to ancient Rome, engaging in twisted behavior. Could it be that when you have all the power and all the women and all the money and all the lands and all the art, you have to do something new? You have to go against the basic grain of humanity. You have to get off in a sick way. That's what we witnessed in Northern California, July 15th, 2000. Get ready to go inside the Bohemian Grove.
It was the night of July 15th, 2000. Mike Hansen and I were about to attempt the first ever successful infiltration of the Bohemian Grove. Others have tried and failed. No one has ever actually made it in and out with video evidence. After careful planning, we decided the best tactic would be to insert ourselves about a half mile from the main entrance into the heavily wooded area, entering the gorge by stealth and getting into the main parking area. From there, we posed as Bohemian Club members, thus entering the inner sanctums of the New World Order. We had already been questioned 3 separate times by the Bohemian Club security, Secret Service, and Sonoma County Sheriff's Department. To evade discovery, we decided to try for one of the more remote areas of the camp, according to our map, the most southerly side, and a lookout point, an observation deck over the Russian River. While Mike Hansen was watching for the sheriff's deputies that were down the path and over the bridge in a guard shack, I began to shoot the video you just witnessed. After we turned the camera off, one of the Sonoma County Sheriff's deputies showed up and began asking us why we were filming. We calmly told him we were just sightseeing as members of the Bohemian Club. The point that has to be made here, though, is they do have hidden cameras, because there's no way that they would have been able to witness us videotaping from where the guard shack was located. The long history of men enjoying themselves has even been written about in the gossip column of the San Francisco Chronicle, writing that a man on his own often gets invited back to the camp by gay bohemians. Even 100-year-old annals have admitted the homosexual activities. After escaping the sheriff's department, Mike and I traveled high into the hills to wait until dark and the beginning of the cremation of care ceremony. After the feast, cult members travel from the main dining area under the trees out to the eastern side of the lake, where they congregate and prepare themselves to properly thank their deity. Again, the 3,000-plus-year-old Moloch. As we sat there in the darkness, not knowing what we were about to see in the gathering crowd, suddenly, across the small lake, we saw a carriage with men in black and brown cloaks, robes, in front and in back, bearing a bound body. Remember, it was a hidden camera and at somewhat of an angle. Something particularly pleasing was happening for the Bohemian Grovers with whatever developed with that crowd of men in black and brown and the bound body on the back of the buggy. They drove behind big black tarps they had hanging out of the trees. There was lots of smacking on lips and bizarre enjoyment by the crowd. We still haven't made out exactly what was going on, but that a real sacrifice may have actually been developing according to some occult experts. All the time in the darkness across the small lake, the men in black were doing something behind the dark curtains hanging from the redwood trees. Then after about 10 more minutes of music, suddenly all around the owl activity began. Here is the main central part of the ritual.
The owl is in his leafy temple. Let all within the grove be reverent before him. Lift up your heads, O ye trees, and be ye lifted up, ye everlasting spires. For behold, here is Bohemian shrine, and holy are the pillars of this house. Weaving spiders, come not here.
Hail, Bohemians, with the ripple of waters, song of birds, such music as inspires the sinking soul, do we invite you into midsummer's joy. The sky above is blue, sown with stars. The forest floor is heaped with fragrant drift. Evening's cool kiss is yours. The campfires glow. The birth of rosy fingered dawn. Shake off your sorrows with the city's dust and cast to the winds the cares of life. Let memory bring back the well-loved names of gallant friends who knew and loved this grove. Dear boon companions of the long ago. Aye, let them join us in this ritual. Not a place be empty in our midst. O beauty's vassals, who hold in this gray autumn of the world her springtime in your heart, attend our tale. Gather, ye forest folk, and cast your spell over these mortals. Touch their world-blind eyes with fairy unheeded. Open their eyes of fancy. Follow the memories of yesterday and seal the gates of sorrow. It is a dream, and yet not all a dream. Dull care and all of his works are but a dream. As vanished Babylon and goodly Tyre, so shall they also vanish.
Bohemians and priests, the desperate call of heavy hearts is answered. By the power of your fellowship, dull care is slain. His body has been brought yonder from the funeral pyre to the joyous wipings of a funeral march. Our funeral pyre awaits the corpse of care.
Here you have the boatman, his face was painted up like a skull, bringing the bound body across the water. Again, we'll have enhanced video of this later. And let's see if you can pick up all of the different occultic meanings in the speeches you're about to hear.
When will ye learn that me ye cannot slay? Year after year ye burn me in this grove, lifting your puny shouts of triumph to the stars. But when again ye turn your faces to the marketplace, do ye not find me waiting as of old? Fools to dream ye conquer care.
Nay, thou mocking spirit, it is not all a dream. We know thou waitest for us when this our sylvan holiday has ended. We shall meet thee and fight thee as of old, and some of us prevail against thee, and some thou shalt destroy. But this too we know. Year after year within this happy grove, our fellowship bans thee for a space. Thy malevolence which would pursue us here has lost its power under these friendly trees. So shall we burn thee once again this night, and in the flames that eat thine effigy, we shall read the sign, Midsummer sets us free.
Ye shall burn me once again. Now but these flames, which hither ye have brought from regions where I reign, ye fools and priests, I spit upon your fire.
Wow. Great son of all mortal wisdom, thou of Bohemia, we beseech thee, grant us thy counsel. We thank thee for thy adjuration.
Begone, dull care. Fire shall have its will of thee. Begone, dull care. And all the winds make merry with thy ducks.
Hail, fellowship's eternal flame. Once again, midsummer sets us free.
Now we're going to get to some enhanced video, and we'll go play-by-play through some of the more occultic statements, like we shall read the sign in your burned effigy, the bound body. That's exactly what the Druids actually did. They would roast cats, goats, oxen, horses, and watch the pain of how they died, and from this extract some type of mystical energy force or power, and also be able to tell the future.
Owl of Bohemia, we beseech thee, grant us thy counsel.
Upon further research of the ritual you just witnessed, it becomes clear. It is a mixture of the Babylonian Canaanite cult of Moloch, fused with ancient Druidic rites, where you have the female side of Satan, which they first call out to in the she, and then towards the horn god with the he, mixed with Masonic rites from Scotland. It's very likely that many of the 1,500 to 2,000 member crowd had really no idea what they were actually watching because it was thinly veiled. Here we have some more enhanced video as the boatman, again with his face painted up like a skull, pulls his boat across the small lake towards the high priest with the red of his cloak visible, with his hand outstretched as if he is pulling the damned soul towards him as they throw off their cares, their conscience for what they have to do in the world. Also, you have the arrangement of the circle of higher level priests around him, the high priest in lighter colors, and then the outer rings of red, and then those in black. This is consistent with the darker workings of the occult, not just with the Western countries, but also worldwide. Now, when you see that black edge coming to the field, that's because we zoomed in on the video, and many times the picture was almost out of the screen, so that's the edge of the field or the view of the camera. We'll get back to more enhanced video of the ritual here in just a minute. But remember PJ, the little demon down in the corner, the left-hand corner of the program, sweeping up the ashes with little horns? And how can you forget this? The image of a human body burning on the altar. Again, this is what they were handing out to those that were witnessing these macabre activities. But again, from Babylon on into ancient England, the word bonfire, meaning human sacrifices being thrown into fiery pits, turned into today's bonfire. After the sacrifice, members of the cult would sweep up the ashes of the victim and use them in future rituals. One of the things that is extremely obvious by looking at the program handed out to Bohemian Club members is the person creating the program had a deep understanding of the occult. There you see the funeral pyre burning with the effigy of a human, or it could be real, ladies and gentlemen. There's been a lot of strange going-ons in that area of Northern California, but this is what the establishment is into right here in America, the cremation of care. And this was July 15th, 2000. These people are deadly serious, those taking part in the ceremony. Another point, the pyrotechnics you're seeing going off were being released from beneath little wrought iron crosses about 1.5 feet tall. Also, notice the screams of pain coming from the sacrifice.
Begone, dull care. Fire shall have its will of thee. Begone, dull care. And all the winds make merry with thy dust.
Hail, fellowship's eternal flame. Once again, midsummer sets us free.
One of the facets of the ritual that goes deeply into the occult, again, we've already mentioned the Druids at their bonfires or bonfires throwing bodies into fiery pits after ritually cutting their hearts out or slitting their throats. They talk about reading the sign in the burning effigy, reading the sign. Again, research your history books on the occult, even the Encyclopedia Britannica on what the Druids would engage in. This is just unbelievably macabre and evil.
So shall we burn thee once again this night, and in the flames that eat thine effigy, we shall read the sign.
Well, we're going to confront George Bush on Bohemian Grove. George Bush Jr., they've been announcing on CNN, MSNBC, on television last night and today. For the first time in history, they're admitting it, why the vice presidential decision was made at Bohemian Grove. George Bush Sr., the former president, and Colin Powell and others. So now they're just throwing it in everybody's face. We've broken the story over a week ago. July 15th, we were in Northern California. They're trying to ignore it. George Bush is down here at the governor's mansion across the street from the Capitol, about to announce Dick Cheney as his vice presidential running mate. We're going to go blow the party for him and get the information out to people. We're not going to stop. We're getting in their face. I want to make it clear that I'm neither Republican nor Democrat. But the facts speak for itself. George Bush Sr., Jr., even their grandfather Prescott Bush were all members of the Bohemian Club. So we dropped by to, well, let them know that we're fully aware of their activities.
This is massive. This is how George Bush dresses up, right here. We got him on tape. This is how they dress up, right here, in red and black robes. A little more pointy, though, like the Klan. We've got him on tape. This is how George Bush dresses, right here when he's in the Bohemian Grove. This is how he dresses. We've already put it on television. Absolutely disgusting. George Bush isn't a conservative. He's not for family values. He is nothing but a Luciferian twit. A Luciferian twit, Bush. He may think he can feed on the human population. We say no to you. We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Long live the Constitution and death to the New World Order. We stand firm. We stand strong for America against your evil, Bush. And we're going to get this story out, and we're going to continue to push it because the truth will not be hidden that you are part of a 3,000-plus-year-old devil cult for the Al Mowing from Babylon as well as Tyre. We have the high priest admitting all this. We have it on videotape. It is documented. It is documented. A Luciferian devil worshiper. Already people all over Austin are talking about it. We're not afraid of you. We're not afraid of your minions. In fact, we're waking your minions up every day with the hardcore evidence. We know your father met 11 times with Bill Clinton in '91. The whole thing was stage managed. We understand you've been helping to sell this country out, Bush. And we're going to expose you and your Luciferian rights. We have the videotape. This is a massive story. One of the stories of the century. One of the stories of the century. How you had the Luciferian cult for 121 years in Northern California. I went inside for the cremation of care. I witnessed the entire debacle. Many of these Secret Service agents have been in. No doubt, protecting these people inside of this system.
There had to be, in my belief, an occultist, a deep occultist, who designed each of the elements of this ceremony. It wasn't just a bunch of guys sit together at a bar and said, hey, let's have a good time, the cremation of care, and why don't we do this or that. I believe it was purposely designed, each element in its turn, for what they did. No doubt about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Dark Secrets inside Bohemian Grove. The facts we've shown in this film are absolutely documented. I would only hope that the people of the world realize the organized evil we're dealing with at almost every level. Republican, Democrat, you name it. They're all working on the same team. Ladies and gentlemen, it's called world government, the New World Order, dehumanization. It's not a joke. It's deadly serious. Unfortunately, they've been breeding societies to think everything's a joke. I'm here to tell you truth is stranger than fiction.
On a story we brought you a few weeks ago, a New York-based satanic group wants to put a Satan statue on the grounds of the Oklahoma State Capitol, and it has now unveiled drawings of the proposal. So here it is. The statue features a bearded, goat-headed demon sitting on a throne with smiling kids next to it. The Satanic Temple insists it should be allowed to stand next to the Ten Commandments monument that's been at the Oklahoma State Capitol since 2012. David Silverman is the president of the American Atheists, Bill Donahue, the president of the Catholic League, and Rabbi Shmuley Botek is the founder of This World, the Values Network. Rabbi, we should have sat you in between Bill and David today. I think they may go at it, but I know you have a strong spirit, and I'm going to start with you on what some people deem as a ridiculous move by this satanic group to put up this monument. Your thoughts?
First of all, what did goats ever do? I don't know why they're having to suffer. There have been many statues of Satan. This is nothing new. We've had statues of Mao Zedong, of Stalin, all these devils who were guilty of genocide, tens of millions of people. If these Satan worshippers want to take their statue to the logical conclusion Let them make it a real Satan statue. There should be child sacrifice. There should be people being disemboweled. They should show what evil is, and that would actually highlight what religion is. The Ten Commandments, which is don't steal, don't be envious, don't covet. In fact, the Ten Commandments, I'm so weirded out by why atheists have a problem with it. When only 3 out of the 10 you have an objection to. Surely you believe that people shouldn't commit adultery, Dave. You believe that people should have a day off, like a Sabbath with the family. You believe that we shouldn't be jealous and envious.
Let's find out. David, do you?
Shmuley, the first commandment is, I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt have no other gods before me. In context, the penalty for disobeying that commandment is death by stoning. It's hate speech.
What about the other 7? Are you okay with the other 7?
I am let me finish. Let me finish. No graven images. He won't have that. But that's the penalty for that.
No, you need to know the Ten Commandments.
Bill, you're being blamed without saying anything.
You have a problem with stealing?
Number 3.
You have a problem with stealing?
Stealing isn't original to the Ten Commandments. Neither is murder.
What are you talking about? Exodus.
Sorry.
Listen, the one thing I do know is the Bible a little bit.
So you don't know that the Bible did steal most of those things. Yes, I will.
The rabbi brings up a great point about why you would be against any of them. But let's get back to this satanic thing. Bill, is this a total affront in the face of Christianity to put up this bearded goat with, by the way, smiling kids? And just for your own fun as well, it has a functional purpose. Apparently you can sit on this particular thing and look up into the face of the bearded goat.
Well, look, it's not a matter of opinion. The people behind this, the proponents, will admit what their purpose is anyhow. Look, my religion, Christianity, is about love. This is about evil, okay? They don't deny it. And so if you take a look at the great heroes of Satanism, you look at Charles Manson, the mass murderer, who said, I am the devil. Adam Lanza, who killed those 20 innocent kids in Newtown, said that he was also the devil. Jimmy Savile, the BBC child rapist, said that he was the devil, had his black masses, so to speak. So I think what the Catholic schools should do, I'd also recommend it for the public schools, but in the Catholic schools, they should teach Satanism.
But in the Catholic schools, they should teach Satanism.
And they should go through Manson and Lanza and Jimmy Savile and others and say, this is exactly what you get once you follow this philosophy.
Finally, a satanic group has unveiled designs for a 7-foot-tall, goat-headed deity at the Oklahoma State Capitol. The New York-based Satanic Temple released an artist rendering of the monument and also formally submitted an application to a panel that oversees the Capitol's grounds. The Satanic Temple says Oklahoma's decision to put a Ten Commandments monument at the Capitol opened the door for its statue.
New development tonight in the satanic group's fight to erect a monument to the devil at our state capitol.
Once this monument to the Ten Commandments was erected on the grounds of the Capitol, other groups said they too had a right to place a monument on the public property.
Channel 4's Courtney Francisco has been digging into it. She joins us live. Courtney?
The statue will be a symbol of Satan as a goat. It's designed for children to sit on it, take pictures with it, and the group wants it to go right here outside the state capitol, right next to the Ten Commandments monument. Finally revealed, a goat figure with children at its feet. The monument the Satanic Temple hopes will soon sit at the state capitol.
We decided to go with that because it is a fairly traditional character. It also offers a lap that visitors can come to sit on, have their picture taken with.
The devil's image sitting beside the Ten Commandments. It's an odd pair, but Satanic Temple spokesperson Lucian Grief says the monuments together represent religious freedom.
It absolutely is of historic value. Not only would a satanic monument send a clear and distinct message that America respects plurality, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, but it would also stand as a historical marker commemorating scapegoats, the marginalized, and the demonized minority, the unjustly outcast.
A group has unveiled designs for a 7-foot-tall statue of Satan that it wants at the Oklahoma State Capitol. The New York-based Satanic Temple says if Oklahoma can put a Ten Commandments statue on the Capitol grounds, they should be able to put their statue on the grounds as well.
Katie, good morning. And that statue they want put right next to the Ten Commandments here at the state capitol. And I want to show you what this is going to look like. Take a look here. It's a 7-foot-tall, goat-headed demon sitting on a throne with 2 children next to it. The group Satanic Temple says it's formally submitted its application, and they are moving forward with plans, even though a state commission's put a moratorium on new requests. The commission says it wants to wait until a lawsuit over the Ten Commandments monument is settled. And right now that Ten Commandments monument is on display here at the state capitol. Reporting live at the Capitol, I'm Rob Hughes, KOCO 5 News.
A holy war of words and statues in Oklahoma as a New York-based Satanic Temple has a design for a monument the church wants to put on the state capitol grounds, right next to a Ten Commandments monument. The statue depicts a demonic goat figure with statues of children at its feet, would also be designed for people to sit on. Needless to say, this idea isn't sitting well with lawmakers.
What will disqualify them has really nothing to do with Satan as such. It's that it has no historical significance for the state of Oklahoma. The only reason why the Ten Commandments qualified is because at the Capitol what we do is we make laws. We are lawmakers. Well, one of the earliest laws that we have are the Ten Commandments. So therefore, it has historical significance.
It absolutely is of historic value. Not only would a satanic monument send a clear and distinct message that America respects plurality, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, but it would also stand as a historical marker commemorating scapegoats, the marginalized, and the demonized minority, the unjustly outcast.
The monument still has to pass through a preservation committee, which has a moratorium on improving new monuments following a lawsuit filed by the ACLU. The Satanic Temple maintains that the Oklahoma legislature's decision to authorize a privately funded Ten Commandments monument at the Capitol opened the door for its statue.